All right, this is just a little update on the Alabama Crimson Tide football team before the season starts. I want to talk about in the earlier video, I proclaimed that David Cornwell will be the Alabama starting quarterback for the 2016 football year. Well, Saban revealed to the media about a week ago that David Cornwell has been dealing with a foot problem, injury situation since the summer began, and he hasn't been able to do a lot. And that actually sets him back a lot, which I'm very disheartened about. I really wanted him to be the starting quarterback this year. I believe he's perfect for the job, and you could see that in the other video. But right now, it seems like it's down to Cooper Bateman, the most experienced guy, and Blake Barnett, the second most experienced guy behind David Cornwell, who's very talented. Between those two, Cooper Bateman, he has the most knowledge of the offense. He's very athletic. I think he's a little bit more athletic than Barnett. The problem is his arm talent is nowhere near as strong as Barnett's or even David Cornwell's to be that. At the Manning Passing Academy, they even said that any throws beyond 25 yards were unraveling on him. And Blake Barnett, we all know the story about him. The media's he's been a darling of the Alabama quarterback situation since he got there. He can run a little bit. He can throw. Basically, he's shown a lot of tools necessarily to be a quarterback. The issue is that as Saban and coaching staff has been saying, he's a bit of a gunslinger. Been forcing the ball a little bit, so that'll be an issue there. That'll play a big part in determining whether or not he can actually secure the starting quarterback position. But this video is not necessarily about the quarterback position. It's about that in relation to our first opponent of the year, which is USC Trojans. So I've been doing a little recon, a little research into them. My first thoughts on them, well, I wouldn't even get into my first thoughts on it. I'll just tell you a little bit that I do know from poking around on the internet. So this year they have a new offense. From Tyson Hilton, who got his roots in Western Kentucky, a little bit more up-tempo, a little bit more spread concept, but they're still a pro-style offense as far as I can see, unless they surprise us. Max Brown is the presumed starter this year. He's a former five-star recruit, 2013 year. He's been sitting behind Cody Kessler for the last few years. We don't know what to expect out of him. He hasn't played a lot, so I think that'll go a long way in determining how this team turns out as well. We do know that they have a very deep and stable running back core. They have two experienced running backs with Justin Davis and Ronald Jones. And so I watched a little bit of them in their Wisconsin Bowl game. And I'll watch a little bit more of them. But for my first impression, Justin Davis has a really good burst, some nice acceleration, and hits the hole well. And Ronald Jones is just a natural sprinter. That guy can run. He looks like he's on the track field. It just looks very natural running. Some guys, when they run faster, you can tell that they're exerting energy. This guy is natural. He's just running, and it looks effortless and very talented. And so the running back position looks really good for them. We'll see how that turns out with the offensive line. At wide receiver, they have a couple good receivers here. Maybe even more the guys that we don't know about. The All-American Juju Smith-Schuster, you probably heard a lot about him. He's going to probably go up the draft boards a lot this year, at least with the people scouting him. 6'1", 215 pounds. I think he'll be a good matchup for Marlon Humphrey from Alabama, because Marlon Humphrey's also about that same size, 6'1", 190. And it'd be a good matchup to see those two battle out, since they're both very fast, very athletic, have good length. So that'll be a good matchup. I saw Juju Smith-Schuster. He also runs really well. He think from the commentators say he had an issue with drops. I didn't see him drop a lot, but I also haven't seen too much footage, so I had to go back and look at it. The receivers after him aren't as established. I mean, you got Adoree Jackson, who's very talented, played on offense, defense, and special teams last year. We'll see if they use him more consistently on offense this year. And we'll see what other people they got behind in the tight end position. I believe they also have really stocked up a lot of tight ends on the roster, so they'll hope to use them in the passing game a lot more this year as they used to. They're very experienced and deep on the offensive line, according to head coach Clay Helton. Their tackles, the tackles alone, left tackle and right tackle, are huge. They have one of them that's 6'9", and one of them that's 6'7". I think one of them's named Chad Wheeler. I think he's getting a lot of attention on draft boards. And actually, Clay Helton says that they are at least 3 deep at every line position. So they should be stacked. We'll see how that translates on the field, especially when they play Alabama. We'll see how our defensive line holds against their offensive line, see if we can get pressure on Max Brown, new starter. On defense, I only really got to look at the cornerbacks, and I'll come back with more. But they have two very talented cornerbacks, Iman Marshall and, like I said, Adoree Jackson, who also plays offense. Uh, Iman Marshall was a freshman last year, and he got better as the year went along. Made freshman mistakes, of course, but really displayed his talent. And Adoree Jackson played really well on defensive back. So they got some really talented defensive backs. It'll be probably one of the more interesting matchups in the game because Alabama's crazy good, fast, athletic, depth field wide receiver position versus the talented USC cornerbacks. I don't know. Well, actually, I did see that their slot corner, I believe, will be Isaiah Langley, who was a freshman last year as well, and he seemed to make some good plays on the ball. So I think that'll be one of the more interesting matchups: their slot corner versus our slot receiver, whoever that may be this year. Uh, so that's just my initial impressions of USC. I'll come back and we'll discuss it some more. Thank you.